Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is Band from Ringside.
Tonight on the Band from Ringside podcast, we have your Money in the Bank recap and thoughts. We talk about AEW last night. 26 years to the day of the greatest heel turn in wrestling history. Hulk Hogan Bash at the Beach, nWo, that, and a whole bunch more tonight on the Band from Ringside podcast. Out of practice, man.
Yeah, I'm glad you're back, man. Take this car. Take the car keys. Go ahead, drive this motherfucker.
Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Marks, and welcome to the Band from Ringside podcast. As always, I'm your host, Bill Vagey, a.k.a. Come on, K-Babe, light my fire. And sitting directly to my left, we have Jason Cornelius Bell. What's going on, JCB?
Oh, strikes again. And on that lovely note, let me ask the congregation to bow their heads as I read from the latest edition of the Band from Ringside podcast, volume 264. Chapter 3, verse 14 of the Good Smart Say It, hashtag boo the heels. It's all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat the Holy Trinity of BFR. This is actually a down week. For what we were always asked.
Yeah, we always say one of these days we'll have a slow week.
Here it is. And see, we should have had this, something on deck for the third count, but we finally figured something out. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays itself out. And the quarterback is back, Aaron Rodgers, a.k.a. Bill Vagey, back behind the motherfucking mic.
And out there in Portland, Oregon, we have Two Beer Zach Bowman. What's going on, Two Beer?
BFR West is in the house.
Oh man, nothing. Good to have you back, Bill. I mean, I know I had a really good time with Jason last week. Fun pod. I didn't listen back to it. I have no idea what was said. Pretty banged up. Probably could have used some quarterbacking. Jason's good at the quarterbacking, but then we get into
no. That's why That's why I'm Jacoby Brissett.
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
we probably talked about the PBS title for like 10 minutes too long, which is like 9 minutes.
You did. I listened. I listened back to the entire thing because last week was one that I was sorry to miss with Forbidden Door, which is a pay-per-view custom made for this podcast. I listened to the whole thing. I really enjoyed it. Jason, I can't tell a drop-off anymore. That's how good Jason is at quarterbacking until you get into the weeds a little bit, when only the hardcore fans are still listening, at about that hour and a half mark. And then you got two dudes that are stoned and drunk as hell and no one there to rein them in. At least like my brain, like, insists on being like, oh, Vagey, you got to reel yourself in too at this point. I
hardly get to drive the car, man. So I mean,
I'm not blaming you. Listen,
you know how this is going to act.
I put on Friends of BFR my 4 thoughts that Jason is good at quarterbacking now. You guys don't even need me anymore.
Shit.
One of them was that the way that Zach pronounces Omos is borderline racist.
How do I pronounce it, by the way? Because I don't know.
It sounds like you say almost. It's not racist. It's just funny that it's funny that you get both vowel sounds wrong. It's a 4-letter word and you say both O's wrong.
Basically, like I say it like I'm trying to sound black, which makes it racist.
Almost. I can't remember the other two, but either way, I had a good time listening to it. Thursday, I've said this before, my Thursdays are just filled with wrestling. I catch up on everything during the day while I'm working, and and then we talk about it for 2 hours at night, and then on Friday I just don't even want to fucking think about it. Because I wasn't allowed to talk about it, and because it was such a big week, I was eagerly listening to your guys' podcast on Friday. So I had a lot of fun, and I hope everybody else did, and if you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to it. I mean, they're all right there wherever you get your podcast. This week is a dud, but
damn.
This is gonna suck. Just turn it off right now. But we're gonna try to have as much fun as we can. Without further ado, let's get to that 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, I forgot to say, we're coming at you from sweltering St. Charles, Missouri. Okay, Jason, kick us off.
Yeah, sweltering. Money in the Bank on Saturday night. Was it Saturday night?
It was Saturday
night, yeah. Usually on Sunday, premium live events can't stay on one night or the other, but in this case, it is Saturday night.
This one makes sense because it was July 3rd on Sunday. It's like everybody was off the next day.
No, it's just weird that they did it on the night that there was a UFC card, and then you saw Vince and company at the UFC event, which is kind of funny, but another story for another time. To me, the biggest takeaway, obviously, is Liv Morgan winning the Money in the Bank and then ultimately cashing it in successfully and becoming the SmackDown champion. I have been more than vocal about my displeasure with Liv Morgan. Never really saw it, never really got it. I guess I'm going to have to eat my words a little bit because they made her champion. I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I didn't think she was waiting to WrestleMania. That was just ridiculous. In a scenario where, with Austin Theory, we'll talk about him in a second. Spoiler alert, he did win the men's Money in the Bank. Liv didn't have much choice. I mean, you have the quote-unquote baddest woman in the world limping in the ring. Limping, visibly, getting worked over by Natalya, which I thought was a good match. Just nobody was invested in it. Really wasn't either, but if you just take that away, just watch the match. I thought the match was good. You got the wounded dog there. You're not going to let this slide. I guess my problem with this is the execution of it. I like when the Money in the Bank is a kind of a chase scenario where, it could happen here, it could happen. It goes over 2 or 3 months. I don't need it to go 6 months, 9 months, nothing like that. With the women's Money in the Bank, whoever, I think they said it that night, 4 out of the 7 that wanted it have cashed in that night. So, I mean, there's really no drama at that point, and they've all cashed in successfully.
So I was going to ask that. That's the stat. 4 have cashed in that night.
Alexa Bliss, Bailey. Oh, who is it? Obviously
Carmella.
now, Carmella was the first, and then that was controversial. Asuka.
I mean, it doesn't really matter. I was going to ask that. I was thinking, what's the average amount of time that the women's Money in the Bank briefcase holder holds the Money in the Bank briefcase? And really, on average, it's probably like 72 hours.
If that. I mean,
it ain't long.
Nikki won it the next night when she won the Money in the Bank.
Nikki Bella?
No, Nikki ASH. Okay, that's kind of my another point with that. Where?
Okay. Oh, okay. That was last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I always talk about making new stars, and obviously this was a ballsy move to make, especially when you do it over Ronda Rousey. Now we got to double down on it, or otherwise this doesn't make sense. I was actually looking for a little Ronda Rousey heel turn after she lost the title. I kind of expected whenever they cross paths again, whether it's SummerSlam or somewhere down the line. Otherwise, you just don't have that heat. Ronda Rousey's just not a good babyface. Let's just call it for what it is. She is not a good babyface.
I mean, that's been said 300 times on this very podcast.
Okay, so 301, 302, and 303. She's not a good babyface.
Right.
She is much better as a heel. Her promos come off better as a heel. And Liv is a white meat babyface character. You can't have 2 baby faces in this scenario and have it work. You need to flip Ronda heel. However you do it, you need to do it quick because you got about 4 weeks to get it done.
Zach, your thoughts on Liv winning Money in the Bank first and foremost, and secondly, cashing in on Ronda in the same night. And also Ronda not really seeing that bummed out about it. Like, she hugged her afterwards.
For now.
Zach, what are your thoughts?
Even though I enjoyed Liv winning, even though it was not my prediction, I thought it was awesome. It's cool because the fans are behind her and they're actually listening to the fans. I do much more appreciate the intrigue of the Money in the Bank. You're essentially ruining the gimmick when you cash in the same night, especially so often as is the women's division. They just don't necessarily care about telling stories in that division nearly as much. I mean, that's like an objective, obvious fact. If you compare those 2 gimmicks. So so that was kind of a bummer. But as you said on Friends of BFR, it did get the title off Ronda. So, I mean, props for that. and it went to a great person. Props for that. I saw her on the bump on Twitter, and somebody asked her the question, what can you bring to the SmackDown Women's title that say a Ronda Rousey or Charlotte Flair can't? And she literally had the perfect answer. She was like, well, the fans want me to be the champion. And I'm like, dude, that was so true and so savage. So good for her. I hope it's impactful. I don't think a lengthy title run has to be, I just hope it's an impactful title run, right? I hope that this kind of keeps her elevated because, she works hard and she's over with the fans. So it was probably the highlight of the show. Not the best match. Neither one of those were like the best matches, but it was the highlight of the show. I was, in terms of the show overall, less thrilled than Stoned and Drunk Bill on Saturday night when I watched it hungover and sober on Sunday morning.
No, I put on that thread. I said, somebody bring me weed because we have 2 pens in this house and my wife has displaced them both. So she took the flower so she could smoke it after work. So old Bill's in here smoking the wood in my pipe, to borrow a phrase from Reservoir Dogs, fucking putting together resin, trying to freebase the little safety pins from college.
Where's your boy at when you need him? Work, mad, get yelled at by the manager.
42 years old in the suburbs, got a sleeping baby, watching Money in the Bank by myself, Facebooking Money in the Bank by myself with nobody responding.
I literally have 8 dispensaries in walking distance from my house.
Fucking Portland. Jesus Christ.
See, you didn't have to do that, okay? Okay, a simple little joke would have been suffice. Okay, now you made me mad.
Man, if my daughter gets Madeline McCann, though, out of my house when I walk down the street to a dispensary, I can never live it down. God damn, knock on wood, man.
Yeah, you better do something quick.
Everybody can still keep an eye out for Madeline McCann. She could be anywhere. Are those that's the end of your thoughts though? Sorry, I cut you off with joking. Yeah, I guess so. Do you want me to be positive first, or do you want me to be negative first?
Man, do what you want to do.
No, tell me. You pick one.
I always say get the bad news out the way.
Okay, the bad news out the way is. Well, this is kind of good news as far as the podcast goes, but I agree with Jason completely about Liv. Like, I never really got it. She doesn't scream title holder to me. I once made the joke that Liv Morgan, this is really mean. I once made the joke that Liv Morgan
Jesus.
is Mandy Rose in standard definition.
Oh!
But I mean, her fan base is grassroots, organic. I mean, it is not because they did a really great job of putting her over.
Hell no.
It's because getting her over, I should say. It's because she has gotten herself over. And
Agreed.
People seem to like her.
Agreed.
So the bad part is I don't really get it. Another bad part is, like Zach said, it ruins the gimmick of Money in the Bank. The point of Money in the Bank is it can happen at any time. And you have these two, I mean, you could probably rewind to every single Money in the Bank we've ever done on BFR. You have these two built-in storylines with these two people. Like, for my money, you could make a bigger star out of Liv Morgan by having her hold the briefcase for a while and just tease it a bunch. It always seems like a strange babyface thing to do, to walk down and when your opponent is wounded and take the belt off her, because nobody in their right mind, kayfabe or shoot, would ever think that Liv Morgan could take out Ronda Rousey in a fair fight, The good news is
Liv Morgan teasing. I mean, that just writes itself.
Hold on, I think you were covering up your. I didn't hear what he said. I got to keep it moving. The good news is, the positive thing is that like Jason said, we're always on them about not being boring and maybe doing something new and maybe making a new star, and certainly putting the belt on Liv Morgan is making a new main eventer, putting it it surprised me. I didn't pick her either. I think she was my third to top pick, but that was just because I don't know. I really couldn't see them putting it on anybody except for the two other ones that I picked. But all that being said, it was a decent, fun match. I was pretty disappointed in Raquel Rodriguez. I thought that there was a couple spots where she could have really. She was like she put herself in a position to make herself look like a monster, and neither one of those spots ended up going through. They both ended up looking like shit. I
thought that match was terrible.
It wasn't good. No, it wasn't good.
And also the Raquel Rodriguez, who was weirdly my pick. Dude, I don't watch a lot of the TV. Does she somebody told her that babyfaces smile because she just smiles like an insane person.
Oh,
does she do that on TV all the time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, ever since she left NXT.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
What I couldn't believe, and I put this on the Friends of BFR thread, which I'm sure if you read it afterwards, I probably seemed like a crazy person. I hope, Zach, you did read along with it afterwards while you were watching it. But she kept focusing on her back. She was wearing a backless thing. And and she comes out into the hard camera, she just flexes her back. It's okay, yeah, she's a big woman she's built, she has muscles back there. It's a cool but then she just kept doing it. And I was like, I wonder if Vince just told her the best thing about her is her back. But her wearing that backless thing, there was a spot in there where I could tell she was worried about her tits falling out. And she couldn't really do what she was trying to do. And maybe it's because I wasn't high. Maybe it's because I was too drunk. Maybe it's because I was watching it by myself. But I remember watching it being like, she's holding back. She's holding back something because, she had her elbows down. I know this is an audio medium, but I'm putting my elbows down by my stomach like I'm trying to hold my shirt on or something. I don't know. It was bizarre to me. Maybe that sounds like a horny old man who wants to see more of the front or something. But I mean, it was a lot of back.
That's what she did. That's what she did in NXT. I mean, that was her thing there. I could see Vince saying something like that.
Listen, are there people with back fetishes? Is that a thing?
There are people with foot fetishes,
there was a
man.
whole song baby got back.
Well, no, there's lots of people with foot fetishes.
Hey, wrong back there, brother.
Shit.
Look at her. She is so built.
Okay, that's
she's going to win. She's going to win the Money in the Bank tonight.
I like big backs. I cannot lie. I guess Bill kind of stole my thunder, and my next thought, just kind of looking forward, is Liv Morgan's obviously the champion, and now she'll have to defend the title against, probably Ronda or someone along those lines.
SummerSlam. It's Ronda and Liv at SummerSlam.
Okay, so
yeah, they made it look like Ronda was going away. I thought that was okay. Ronda's going away for a while, and now it's like Ronda and Liv at SummerSlam. Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean Ronda in kayfabe style, Ronda is going to want her rightful rematch when she's healthy. So I guess the running questions moving forward is, can Ronda Rousey stay healthy, number one? And number two, are they going to put Liv Morgan over a healthy Ronda Rousey in a straight-up fair match?
I mean, the biggest question is, can Ronda Rousey stay out of in-school suspension that weekend when she gets kicked out of study hall by Mr. Pierce? I saw Jason taking a drink of his Budweiser. I was like, I'm going in for the kill.
I'm sorry. That's one of the funniest things you do, because that's the Ronda I want to see. Yeah. I want her to come down on Friday night. Yeah, I can't believe she came down and cashed in on me. That's not cool. I'm wearing a leather jacket. I want to smile. I ain't being a baby face.
I'll be honest. I can't believe that's your guys' biggest takeaway from that was like my third biggest takeaway. But, okay, so what else happened, Jason?
Obviously, the men's Money in the Bank can go there next. We had the 7 guys lined up, and then all of a sudden, here comes... I want to say Pat McAfee. What's this dude's name?
Oh my God, Pat McAfee would have been awesome.
Austin Theory.
Adam Pierce.
Pat McAfee would have made me give this show like an A.
Yeah, I would have marked out for Pat McAfee. I would have been like, "Fuck yes."
No, Adam Pierce announces.
Theory.
That's what I was thinking of. Is Theory as the 8th,
or as
guy.
I like to call him, Mystery, because Theory sounds like a dude who dabbles in magic and is also a pickup artist. Like, his name's fucking Theory. Like, is that a main event name? Is he going to headline WrestleMania with the name Theory?
I guess we getting ready to find out in
His
4
name
weeks.
is Theory. He's 24 years old with a goatee. His name isn't Theory, it's Connor.
That's better than Theory. Fuck. I mean, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
I've
Adam
been waiting
Pierce
to get that joke out.
Adam Pierce announces Austin Theory as the 8th entrant. Obviously, this is controversial because earlier in the night, number one, he drops the U.S. title to Bobby Lashley.
By submission.
Right. So, not a huge fan of. I get it. You know, Lashley has a title, should be a good thing. It just feels like he's a placeholder, so it allows Austin Theory to move up and ultimately win the Money in the Bank. But that's just a personal gripe because I like Lashley, but neither here nor there. So, obviously, Austin Theory is the 8th man in. All the other guys looking around like, well, that's kind of fucked up, but it plays on the fact that it's Vince's boy. So, yes, obviously, there's instant heat. The match I thought was okay. I didn't think it was as bad as the women's match, but I didn't think it was. I've seen better Money in the Bank men's ladder matches for sure. It's probably somewhere in the gray. I think Kofi might have been missed, but, I guess you have Seth Rollins. Neither here nor there. Obviously, like I said, Austin Theory wins, and now the speculation starts to run rampant, and they didn't even wait on the fact about, he could possibly cash in at SummerSlam to even tease this. So this might be a 4-week cash in some form or fashion because obviously at SummerSlam we have Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar.
God, I really hope he doesn't.
For the unified undisputed title and in the last man standing match. So once again, to me, it's kind of like you have Natalya and Ronda Rousey. In their case, it's a straight up match. But Ronda Rousey came out, very scathed in a last man standing match against, two rivals who it's their last match. Yeah, whatever, motherfucker. You said that about Cena and Rock, and you did it a year later, but that's neither here nor there either. Okay, so now it's their last match. Whoever is the winner is not going to be at near 100%. If you're Austin Theory, this is probably going to be as good as it's going to get. So you might as well try to, take your shot now. If Brock wins, you have the tie-in with Brock squashing him in MSG. If Reigns wins, then you can start something new with Roman Reigns and then, have that pay off a year, 2 years down the line. Ultimately, I don't have a problem with Austin Theory winning. I have a problem with the execution getting from point A to point B. Why was he the U.S. champion? All you had to do was allow someone else, I don't give a rat's ass who it was, not unless you just want to have him to be the youngest U.S. champion, the youngest to win Money in the Bank, the youngest this, youngest that. Okay, I see a running theme. That's great. But you didn't have to have him be the youngest U.S. champion. Just make him win an entrance or qualifying match like everybody else did. But once again, I get the why too.
Tubi, your thoughts?
This match was fine, but it was in the lower half of Money in the Bank.
Agreed.
And literally brought the entire show down like at least a full letter grade, maybe a letter grade and a half.
Damn. I didn't think it was that bad.
Sense. You literally already had like a TBD. Like, there was already a TBD, and then we have to add like an 8th person. It's just like so sloppy. And it's not heat on Theory, it's heat on like Vince and the company. Like, they don't have enough of that,
Right.
I just don't understand. It's just pure laziness. But yeah, I mean, good for Theory, like whatever. I mean, I'm not gonna shit on the fact that he has Money in the Bank, just like Jason said. Like, we complain about WWE not making new stars. Like, they're obviously trying to do something with Theory. Is he that guy? I don't know. I don't see it yet. He's got a good physique. He's definitely like a WWE type dude. Like, he's not the kind of guy that right now I would think you could build a company around, but he's still young, So we'll see. So I'm not going to shit on them, working to build a big star when they're young, because that's what we say to do, even if it's not the person that I think is worthwhile. But like Jason, the way that you get there, it's just dumb. I just thought it was so dumb. It's just like Brock, whenever they had Brock come in, and he wasn't even like announced in the match, and then he just like came in and
excuse me, Mr. Mustafa Ali.
That was worse. Brock was worse. Brock was worse.
Yeah,
that motherfucker came up and snatched that motherfucker.
Because at least they gave it to somebody who's never had the belt before,
That's funny.
At least they gave it to a mid-carder or an upper mid-carder,
Yeah.
But once again, I got negative and positive things to say about it. I'll give you the bad stuff first. First of all, we all put our predictions down, and predictions matter. And none of us could predict Theory because Theory wasn't in it. So fuck you, Vince, first and foremost for that. More so than I'm kidding. But seriously, when Adam Pearce comes out, if the whole gimmick is Austin Theory is the chosen one, the old McIntyre pick, the old McIntyre spot, I should say, then Pearce should come out and kind of be reluctant about it. Or Pearce should come out and maybe knock over a ladder and seem mad about it. Like, tell a fucking story. Like, if Austin Theory is the chosen one because he looks good and because Vince likes him, he should lose more. Have him be a chicken shit heel. This is one of those times where you could have a chicken shit heel and it would work. Now, Theory has gotten himself over. He's gotten Bobby Lashley. And I'm not saying that Bobby Lashley has nothing to do with it, but Austin Theory is somebody that audiences want to see punched in the face. And Bobby Lashley is a good guy to do it.
Lashley was the most over guy on the entire show.
Yes, he was. The other thing is, if you bring him in 8th and Adam Pearce comes out and announces him, he's going to win. What is the point of the build to it if you just know, like, what would be the point of him coming in and not winning?
Right.
Now, there was a couple times where I was like, oh, shit, I think that Drew was going to win. My favorite spot of the match, I think, was when Drew was pinned underneath the ladder and then pressed it when Sheamus was on it. Like, I thought that was cool as fuck.
That's some serious straight.
We haven't seen it yet, and it looked cool.
Right.
And it was smart of Sheamus, kayfabe style, to put him underneath the ladder so he couldn't get back up. And then it was a feat of strength from a pro wrestler to lift up the ladder. I thought that
it's what you said. We haven't seen it before.
We haven't seen it before, and it was neat.
Right.
I am with you. I don't mind it being put on Theory, although I think that Theory's whole persona is still mid-card. I mean, taking selfies of yourself, that's a mid-card gimmick. That is Breezango. Tyler Breeze. Tyler Breeze had that gimmick, 8 years ago in NXT? So that's a mid-card gimmick to me. I don't mind him winning. I do like them making new stars. Jason brought up a great point where he said that the match was missing Kofi. If you've ever YouTubed Austin Theory at Progress Wrestling or something, he could have Evolve. Sorry, he could have been the guy. He does some crazy shit there. He's a superior athlete. He's a crazy wrestler, and you wouldn't know that by watching WWE television from week to week because they make him pretty fucking basic. So it always helps a Money in the Bank match when you have a Kofi or a Shelton or even maybe another black guy I'm not even thinking of. But if you have Theory in it, I didn't feel like Theory did anything spectacular in the match either. My biggest problem was watching it live, him coming in as the 8th guy. I was like, well, fuck, this takes all the piss out of it.
Right.
Because I know what's going to happen.
Right.
And with the guys that they had in there, I knew there weren't going to be any fucking super crazy spots. Not that I need super crazy spots, but it is a Money in the Bank match. It is a ladder match. You expect
it, yeah. I was going to say.
I mean, the only crazy spot was when almost. Oh, I just did it. I just fucking pronounced it like Zach. Fuck, man. When Omos got thrown through those tables, looked pretty rough.
Yeah. Pinning him in the pinning him with the ladders was a smart move, but it was like there's nothing that really stood out. And like you said, when Theory was announced as the 8th guy, you don't bring him out unless you're planning to
And can Theory
give him the win.
We've already seen Theory get whooped by Brock twice. I mean, remember in the elimination chamber, they were the only 2 left.
Brock threw him off the top of that the cell or whatever.
Yeah, Brock threw him around like a fucking Cabbage Patch doll, man. It was not.
Okay, now you see.
All roads lead to Roman, though, because they were trying to make Brock look strong so that Roman looks stronger when he beats him at WrestleMania.
Okay, I'll say this, and Two Beer, you can jump in on this, and I want to talk about the Usos, Street Profits, before we move along. So Brock has whipped him twice. Okay, let's just say for the sake of argument, Brock wins the last man standing match. Now this is their it's their long-term storytelling, but it's WWE, so this is their story. Brock has whooped Theory twice, squashed him in both occasions, and now Austin Theory has the upper hand. I see how you can make that as something that could be a thing. Brock wins last man standing. Austin Theory comes out, cashes in. I don't think they'll go as far as to put the title on him over either or guy, but
I think they will.
Weird shit happens.
I think what we're looking at, like in real time, and we use this term a lot, but they have strapped the jetpack to him. He was in a huge spot at WrestleMania. Not only the Elimination Chamber, he was in a huge spot where it was just him and Brock Lesnar, even though he bumped the whole time. Probably shoot style. He probably had no control over it.
Say, hey, Brock, can you take? Oh shit!
Had a huge spot.
I bump in a car accident.
Had a huge spot at WrestleMania with Vince and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Won the U.S. Championship and then lost the U.S. Championship and won the Money in the Bank on the same night. This feels like Cena to me. This feels like 2003 John Cena to me, which was before Money in the Bank. But, man, it seems like they definitely – this is not just like, oh, let's put him in this spot and see how he does. This guy's the future of the company, and we are strapping the jetpack to him, and we're going to see how it goes.
No, I think you're right. I mean, he's getting all the high-profile stuff. Whether or not that means that they will stick with him is another thing, or if he succeeds or if he becomes a star. But they're doing all of the things that you would do. I mean, they're telegraphing their moves. Like, they're saying this is the future.
Here's the thing. It almost never happens in WWE where somebody is put into a spot where it's impossible for them to succeed and they don't succeed. Like, when you think about Cena and you think about Roman Reigns, and really, I don't think that I'm being too lofty here when I compare Austin Theory's rise to those two guys. I mean, obviously, they're all a little different, but that's what I'm seeing. And people will look at Cena and Roman Reigns and be like, those are two very successful pro wrestlers. It's like, yeah, despite everything, it's not because, and maybe it is because the most talented, maybe it is because they worked the hardest, but it's not because the crowd loved them. And it's not because, I mean, it took them forever to find Roman Reigns to do something where we were all like, oh, fuck, this rules. And Cena never really got there.
I think he's there now.
Nah.
No, I think honestly, and I caught myself like, reminiscing. That was, last week when we were talking about, some of John Cena's best matches. AJ Styles, I think, is one of his best matches, but we forget about his rivalry with Edge and Batista. So
why did we forget about those though? Because they're forgettable.
For me,
Cena is not about his in-ring work. Cena's about his reactions from the fans and his stuff outside the ring and being a company representative.
No question about it.
And just being a human being.
No question about it. Okay, I'm not going to sit up here and tout John Cena in the name of Zack Sabre Jr., Bryan Danielson, and anybody else along that ilk. I'm just saying, for me personally, as Cena has gone away and I don't have him on my radar all the time. I appreciate the fact where he comes back now, now he's doing what he should be doing and putting the next generation over. Even if it's Roman Reigns, it's something for Roman Reigns to build his character on versus John Cena going after number 17.
Yeah, okay. I don't want to get too far in the weeds on this. So
No, we're done.
That's fine. Maybe afterwards because I have some thoughts.
Okay.
But Street Profits versus Usos.
Honestly, I did not have a lot of expectations for this match, and it's just because we've seen it so many times in so many different variations, whether it's singles, six-man, whatever the case may be. And I said it last week. I thought, we did everything you could possibly do. Never mind. Match of the night, and it wasn't even close. It was not even close. I think this is the WWE Tag Team Match of the Year, as far as I'm concerned, up to this point, until you show me anything different.
I think it might be the WWE. Well, no, there's the Cody Seth. Okay, but Zach, what are your thoughts on it?
Jason's 100% right. Tag Team Match of the Year for WWE. I wasn't necessarily looking forward to it, even though I figured it would deliver because of the talent involved. But the crowd was hot, and I tell you what, this is like one of those times where if it's me and I'm in Gorilla and I'm hearing those fans, I'm calling an audible, and I'm like, Montez Ford pins one of those dudes, because this crowd wanted this so bad. Those near falls were so hot.
So did your boy watching it live. Yeah. I was, like I said, I was watching it live, and it is a completely different animal, and I don't want to let my listeners down by telling them this, but most pay-per-views I don't watch live. Most pay-per-views I watch after the fact. I was watching this one live, and I was so ready to pop, and those near falls had me out of my seat, alone by myself, out of my seat, marking out. It was an incredible match. Let's not all the focus is on Montez Ford all the time. The Usos are the Usos. Everybody knows that they're great. Everybody knows what they can do. Angelo Dawkins fucking rules also.
No, this is one of his better matches. I will, and I'm not a big Angelo Dawkins guy. First to admit it. I thought the fact that they teased a dissension between the Street Profits towards the end of the match was a little weird, but
I'll tell you what, when Adam Pearce came out for the 8th guy, I was like, in my 8 natural lights into the night, 399s into the night, I was like, please let it be Montez Ford. Oh my God, that place would have gone ape shit. That guy is on the...
If you wanted to do
They got to strike while the iron's hot with that guy.
If you wanted to do the audible, that was the audible.
Oh my God, that place would have come
unglued.
Unglued.
You got him now. He's the Money in the Bank, and then from that point, if you want to do Austin Theory and Montez Ford, you could do it that way.
And then you got him frog splashing a hurt Brock Lesnar at the end of SummerSlam. I mean, you talk about a moment. That's what we're talking about.
Give this man the pin.
I mean, motherfucker jumps. I put it on that thread. I said, put the belt on this guy and let him cook, because he is a star. He's a star. He's a star. He's a big bright, shining star. And you know who said that? Dirk Diggler talking to his own dick in the mirror at the end of Boogie Nights. That's how I feel watching Montez Ford.
Outside of that, obviously, we talked about Lashley winning the U.S. title. Carmella loses to Bianca, but then attacks her post-match, so we're going to probably have some spillover from that. That is really it for Money in the Bank. I think we covered it. I don't have any really last thoughts to it. Lashley, just like I said, it just personally bothers me because I feel like Austin Theory's now blowing by Bobby Lashley while he's holding down the mid-card title, but neither here nor there. Give it a letter grade.
I hope they can revisit. I would like to see them revisit that as a world title belt championship at some point.
You planted the seeds if you can get one or the other.
Also, one of them's 21 years older than the other one,
right?
Which is so fucked up.
Bobby Lashley, Jesus.
I mean, that's fucking crazy.
Somebody showed him when he first got to WWE and showed a picture of him now in WWE. Not much difference.
He's great. A letter grade, I'd give it a B-. I was entertained as fuck the entire way through, and it wasn't the natural lights. It wasn't the 99s. It was probably the lack of weed.
2 beer, give it a letter grade.
Yeah, I think I would have bumped it up if I was watching it live, but since I wasn't, this is a C- for me.
I was going to say C- as well.
Fair enough. Let's get to that 2 count.
1, 2, 3.
2 beer, what's the 2 count? I'm going to go check on the baby.
2 count, we got AEW Dynamite. Open the show with Wardlow versus Scorpio Sky in a street fight for the TNT title. So, match was fine. Nothing remarkable or anything as far as like match quality, but it was definitely momentous in the sense that we didn't get a lot of fuckery. That's kind of why I thought Sky was gonna, propose the street fight, but we didn't really see a lot of that from American Top Team. It was more about Scorpio Sky going out there on his own, even though it was a little Lambert interference, but there kind of always is. But yeah, I mean, remarkable because Wardlow won the TNT title. This is something that probably should have happened a little more immediately. I know Sky had not the best run, mostly due to Sammy Guevara. A little bit of injury, a little bit of Sammy. I am looking forward to the kind of comeback of the TNT title, right? This title has languished, and I feel like Wardlow, now that he has it, can bring back kind of that feeling of like when Miro had it, for instance, where it was just a monster and he's just running through guys, and they just need to feed dudes to him. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a work rate title or anything. They just need to feed the monster, and then he can have big matches and stuff like. But let's get this thing meaning something again. But man, I think I know like the world is ending, but dude, that was a lot of confetti. We should be a little less wasteful in the confetti department.
I was like, dude, he won the TNT title. Let's just keep things in fucking perspective. It's the same for me. It's the same theory, and for lack of a better word, where when Austin Theory came out on Money in the Bank, you knew what was going to happen. When they announced this match last week, you knew what was going to happen. Even if Scorpio Sky was completely healthy, you wouldn't have put Wardlow in this situation if you didn't have intentions on him winning the title. I totally agree with you about, the decline, for lack of a better term, of the TNT title. Fans kind of turning on Sammy Guevara didn't necessarily help the matter. Who had it before? Who had it after Sammy? Scorpio Sky. So yeah, it was basically between Sammy and Scorpio Sky, where you didn't have the tradition, like you said, with Miro just having great matches for the title. It was really strictly about the title versus you hate Sammy because of things outside of the ring and the fact that he's not having good matches.
Yeah, like you can trace the lineage of that title, and then all of a sudden it gets really murky. Like that title did mean something. Like Cody had it. Cody did an amazing job with it.
Yeah, that's
Mr.
what I'm saying.
Brody Lee was a great champion. And then, Miro, and then it's just all of a sudden you're just like,
oh, wait, who had it then? Who had it then?
Did Pac have it?
No. Pac's first title was
back and forth between Sammy and Scorpio, so bad. It just kind of ruined the lineage.
So now I agree with you. At this point, Wardlow should be holding the title for an extended period of time. I would almost say towards the end of the year. I know that, it feels like, the end of the year is a long time, but hell, we're in July. 6 months ain't necessarily a bad title reign. You can get Punk back. You can figure out the world title picture, and then you can move him up to go at that point.
You know what I would do? I would have Wardlow fight 20 security guards next week, and the 20th one pins Wardlow, and then they all come out next week wearing TNT titles. That would
this motherfucker here.
While I was gone, did you guys talk about Wardlow's Swanton?
No.
I mean, Jesus Christ.
I was going. He said work rate, and I was thinking that in my head, and I was going to kindly say I disagree with that a little bit because of things like that. Wardlow being 6 whatever, 260 whatever. Man, look, you ain't got no goddamn business pulling out no swanton like that and doing it that well.
It was perfect.
Yeah. I mean, I always, because the last time he did it, he overshot it. This time it was like, boom, on the mark.
But last time he did it was probably 6 months ago.
No, he just recently did.
He did?
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't have to bust it out every time.
No.
He should just do it. He should
for
do it
special
rarely.
occasions, yeah.
That was a funny joke, by the way, Bill. And I did see somebody on Twitter compare Wardlow and call him the Jasmine St. Clair of wrestlers because he likes to take on 20 dudes at once.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, how depraved does Zach have to be to bring up a porn star that I don't know?
I know the porn star. I'm like, where the fuck is he going with this? No clue.
It's pretty old. It's pretty old.
Jasmine St. Clair is, or the joke?
Yeah, some dial-up stuff. No, the porn.
That's funny shit.
Oh, I got a couple classics like that, yeah.
Yeah. Bill, do you have anything before we move on the TNT title?
No, it was the right move. I
Totally.
think they should have done it probably the week after Wardlow beat MJF, but I mean,
Right,
I've already expressed
with
my
that.
problems with that. Better late than never. He's the right guy to have it at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally. Then we had Christian Cage and Luchasaurus come out, and promo was kind of going nowhere until Matt Hardy came out and interrupted, and then I want to give props to Jason because I've been thinking about something he said like for a week now, and it is 100% accurate. Like, we don't miss MJF because Christian Cage is just taking MJF's spot. That's 100% like what he's done. Not necessarily in storyline, but as far as just being a heat magnet who says very controversial on-topic things and delivers the promo really well, that's what he's doing. So, I mean, he does the whole, Matt Hardy gets a pop because he called him the Michael Jordan of being an asshole, which is a pretty good line. And then Christian Cage, said, "You're starting to make your brother sound like the sober one," which is mega heat.
I'm like, man, that motherfucker ain't right, dog. I'm sitting there watching it whole last night like, oh, fucked up. That's fucked up.
So I was thinking about this promo on the way home tonight from the dinner that I was at with my family because I knew that we were meeting late, and I was thinking about AEW, and I was thinking, man, that Christian promo was just fucking rough. I mean, and that got a lot of heat, and the people started chanting asshole, asshole, asshole because, as I've heard some people say that, wrestling fans are fed up with Jeff Hardy too and his bullshit, and that's not the way that I feel at all. I just feel really bad for him that he's still going through this shit and that he can't get his shit right. And then I was thinking, man, I wonder if Jeff Hardy, I wonder what the politics or what the discussion is between Christian and Matt Hardy, who have an Encyclopedia Britannica's 26 volumes worth of history together.
Jesus, you said Encyclopedia Britannica.
What's the conversation that goes on before Christian's like, hey, can I use this line? Or Matt's like, hey, you should use this line. And then I think, nobody's more aware that Jeff Hardy is not sober or Jeff Hardy has a problem than Jeff fucking Hardy. And nobody's been in the wrestling biz for their entire life like Jeff Hardy. I bet Jeff Hardy fucking loved it. Or, as much as he can love it when he's, not allowed a TV in his 28-day rehab facility or whatever.
Yeah,
but
I was getting ready to say,
I mean,
consider and say he loved that, but point taken.
I don't know. I think that Marks and Smarks, I think they put a lot more. Now, listen, it sounds cool in a promo. It certainly does. It popped me.
Oh yeah.
But when you really peel apart the onion and you think about it as a fan, I don't think there's any way that Jeff Hardy has a problem with that, or Matt Hardy.
No.
Everybody knows what the score is. I'm sure Christian is like calls Jeff Hardy, on a semi-regular basis.
I'm
just to
sure
say, hey,
that
how you
this
doing?
was,
or text him or whatever. I'm sure they're
this
boys.
was done with some sort of blessing, because
it's otherwise there'd be mega real.
Yeah, I think there would be a bigger issue than what it was.
Badass in a promo. Though.
Oh, what he said, I was like, God damn.
Yeah, me too.
Scorched earth,
Samoa
baby.
Joe did this shit, and it ruled. Like, Samoa Joe's was even better.
He was like, he was like, look. He's talking to Jeff. He's like, look, act like this is an AA meeting and just, sit here and be quiet.
Was that in WWE?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
I was like, man, hell no.
That is good.
He was like, I wish I could remember exactly what he said. It was just like, basically sit here and shut up and act like this is an AA meeting and just sit here and listen to what the fuck I got to say. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. That's where Christian is right now. As much as I like MJF, and I was talking to Brett about this last week, and I said it last week, I really think that the fact that MJF was brought up this week is a good, it's a positive sign. We're not just, we can't talk about him like it's WWE type shit.
Because I missed last week and I didn't get to talk about Black Luchasaurus or Luchasaurus Dark or whatever they're calling him now.
Just Luchasaurus.
Yeah, but he's a bad guy, so he's like Black Luchasaurus.
Okay, so why does it got to be Black Luchasaurus? I don't understand.
Who wears all black?
The man's shit still says Luchasaurus.
He's just more likely to get killed by police now.
Son, what are you doing over here in this neighborhood at this time? Pull this shit over.
Christian's like, this guy broke into my yard.
I say, man, I've been protecting you all week. This how you gonna do me?
Tony Khan, I listened to like a 45-minute interview with him last week on a podcast, and he is very coked out, no doubt, very coked out. I was talking to Tinder Mahal about this on the phone because Tinder Mahal called me or I called him while I was listening to the interview, and I was like, dude, because the podcaster asked him about pushing black talent, and I swear to God, he like the record in his head starts skipping. He was like, Powerhouse Hobbs, Jade Cargill, Scorpio Sky. Powerhouse Hobbs, Jade Cargill, Scorpio Sky. We got Jade Cargill, Scorpio Sky. Like I was like, oh, this guy's coked out. Like
Keith.
I was like, but God bless him though, because when the turn on Jungle Boy happened, and Luchasaurus came out ready to kick Christian's ass, and then Christian hugged him like the big, the R word that you're not allowed to say, but like the big Mongo that, wait, you're not allowed to say that either. Fuck! Jesus. Just a big, I guess, dinosaur. I was like, this is never going to work. Luchasaurus is very low on the totem pole as far as my fandom goes about who I care about. And then to have him come out in all black, wearing a black mask, I was like, oh. And Christian's out there in a turtleneck. I was like, God damn, this looks fucking perfect. Now I'm invested. I was like, this is fucking awesome.
Christian, you gotta wear that mask because he got a forehead like a drive-in movie theater.
Jesus Christ.
But he's a good shit, so we don't punch his bunches. But he's,
God damn.
We got this one kid named Mongo. He's like got a forehead like a drive-in movie theater. But he's a good shit, so we don't bust his chops too much.
MJF brought Wardlow Christian at this rate is going to bring Luchasaurus up. That's why I was upset, and I'll beat this drum until they prove otherwise or MJF comes back. Christian is taking the MJF role, like it or not. He's probably not going to have to wrestle a lot, so that's MJF anyway,
I mean, this is that more. I don't want to get into a big argument about this. That more says to me that MJF is just an old school fucking heel than Christian is like this cutting edge type of dude. Like MJF, that's just how old school heel MJF is, I guess.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. No, I have no problem with you saying that at all.
That started coming out of my mouth like an insult, and then it ended up being a compliment. I was like, actually, I talked myself into it.
No,
it's like I'm at my counselors. Like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, right. I say, what the fuck am I paying you for?
I do have lots of shame.
I say, God damn it, I can do this shit myself. Go ahead, Two Beer.
All right, so next we had Keith Lee and Strickland versus Butcher and the Blade. This was not a good match. and babyfaces went over, but kind of the highlight of the match was afterwards. Team Taz comes out, which is Hobbs and Starks, and like Hobbs starts out and he does fine, and then Ricky Starks just takes over, and he's so worked up, and he's cutting his promo, and Swerve Strickland's like leaning out the ropes, like talking shit, like while Ricky's trying to cut his promo, and he's just like, "I'll beat your ass right now," and he just starts taking off, like strutting up and down the ramp. And
yeah, his inner Ric Flair.
I'm like, dude, Ricky Starks says getting ready to explode. Somebody get him calm down, please. Good Lord.
And Hobbs is just laughing his ass off. Like, he can't even, like, it was so good. Then the Bucks come out, and I know that they're cocky heels, but they pretty much pitched a three-way, which is not necessarily psychologically a heel thing that champions would do, because you would want to hold on to your titles. But they're kind of playing the cocky heels. They had a great line. They said, you guys had a great match at Double or Nothing. It was 4.5 stars. And they're like, that's like an off night for the Young Bucks. Like, dude, they ain't wrong about that. Like, so,
come on, man. They ain't the greatest tag team of all time.
Even more good. But yeah, psychologically a little weird. But I think the main takeaway out of all of this, bad tag match, better tag segment after the fact, the main takeaway is that while the Bucks are pitching this match, the entire crowd is chanting FTR, FTR loudly. So, I mean, the fans want, we all want FTR versus the Bucks for all the marbles, for all the belts, for all the titles.
They're going to make
all
them wait.
The TNT titles that exist, all the belts in the crowd. Just start throwing belts.
Start throwing your shit in here. You got a belt, throw that shit in the middle. Okay, so
they're going to make them wait for FTR versus the Bucks.
Okay.
They're going to make them wait until what's the next pay-per-view?
All Out.
Yeah, they're
it's,
gonna,
All Out.
yeah, I was going to say it's. They do 4-year. All Out is the last of the 4,
September?
correct? Yeah, usually it's
But
Labor Day weekend.
Hopefully they can hold on to all those belts because they're only in control of 2 of them. You got the IWGP and the AAA. They're not in control of those. So.
I don't think New Japan is going to strip them because, they can't come over.
Well,
they're going to make them, every attempt to make sure they can come over.
Yeah, and last week...
Or somebody comes over here and defends the titles.
I said this off air, but last week I did listen to the entire podcast, or maybe I said it on there. But you guys are exactly right. Like, I want FTR in the World Tag League so we can see FTR in the World Tag League. I want to see all these motherfuckers fight in Japan. I want to see. I want what I want. Give me what I want. I'm like Batiste.
Right.
I'll tell you what. If I was cutting a promo and Swerve Strickland starts talking during my promo, I'm gonna look at him. I'm gonna be like, "Hey, motherfucker, I'm not a movie theater screen. Shut the fuck up."
Oh, by golly.
No, you did not. No, you did not.
I used to go to the Esquire at Sundays on 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's running commentary with the commentary. My biggest takeaway is I'm waiting for Swerve to turn on Keith Lee. The bump or pounce or the mispounce was the point of the match where I was like, okay, if Butcher and Blade win, this is going to be something to talk about. Because Keith Lee and Swerve won, it's like what they say about, sports teams, winning is the best deodorant. So at that point, you don't think about it. Next week, somehow, some way, I think Keith Lee and Swerve have some sort of misstep.
You think next week?
The match is next week.
Oh, okay. All right. You're saying during the match.
Yeah,
okay.
Somewhere in that triple threat.
I didn't realize it was
match.
next week. Okay.
They're going to have some sort of...
God bless FTR, man. Or God bless AEW, I mean. God bless them.
Here's a triple threat tag team title match.
Matches. Just give me fucking matches.
Here's Claudio and Jake Hager.
No shit.
Jake Hager talking about you ain't been the champ. I'm like, motherfucker, you wasn't the champ too long. Don't be talking shit.
And I was like,
we'll get there.
Is Zeb Coulter going to be there? Anyway, I agree. It was a shitty match. A very good segment afterwards. I have to echo the words of and then we can move on. I have to echo the words of Tony Khan, like Powerhouse Hobbs, Jade Cargill, Swerve Strickland, Keith Lee, Powerhouse Hobbs, Jade Cargill, Swerve Strickland.
Oh man,
Powerhouse Hobbs, Jade Cargill,
Jay Lethal,
Swerve Strickland. Who?
Jay Lethal.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him. Jay Lethal. Yeah.
Scorpio Sky.
Dante
Martin. Jesus Christ. Lee Moriarty, where are you? Join the Black Pill Combat Club, please. Go ahead, Two Beer. We're hijacking your shit.
Looks more like the White Pool Combat Club to me. So then we had one of those Malachi Black promos, which are just like literally the same thing. Like, I understand that he's Malachi Black and the House of Black, and
they're skippable
later in the show and stuff. But yeah, that's totally skippable. Like, who gives a shit? Then we had
shouldn't be that way, but I agree.
Eddie Kingston, which I was sad that this kind of got cut short, because anytime Eddie Kingston comes out to do a promo, it's just going to be gold. But he's going to be facing Takashita, so a little hype mention for Rampage. Like, I don't always watch Rampage, and I definitely rarely watch it live. Like, Friday night, like, I'm, hitting the food carts, like, whatever. Like, I'm not, like, sitting in front of my TV, like, on Friday nights. But Takashita is, like, one of my favorite wrestlers right now, and Eddie Kingston is definitely one of my favorite wrestlers, and I can't wait. But anyway, the Mad King, Eddie Kingston, comes out, starts cutting the promo, gets interrupted by the Jericho Appreciation Society. So Ruby Soho avoided a fireball to the face, but Ty Conti did slam her hand in a car door, kind of an old school angle. So that sets up, I don't know, Ty, maybe it writes off Ruby Soho for a minute. It kind of adds fuel to the fire. But, that was essentially that segment. We'll see where it goes.
Go ahead.
I had a thought about this show. Same time, I'm driving home. My baby's crying. I'm just trying to put her out of my mind. I'm just trying to not think about my baby. Just take care of yourself back there. Sorry you're having a rough time back there, but I'm thinking about wrestling. There's nothing I can do for her at this point. All I can do is drive her on the highway and drive her home. I'm sober. I stayed sober at the dinner. Come on.
Look at you.
I know. Thank you. Is this the first Dynamite where none of the so-called four pillars made an appearance? There was no Sammy Guevara, no Darby Allin, no Jungle Boy, and no MJF.
Darby Allin was after the main event when Brody Lee was going up the ramp. Darby Allin and Sting came out.
Brody King?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Brody King was going up the ramp. Darby Allin and Sting caught him at the ramp. I don't remember what Darby Allin said, but basically it ended with a handshake, and Brody King and Malachi Black walked up the ramp. So
yeah, it was like to get Brody King some heat back and give him a rub for losing so fast.
I guess I missed that part, but
we all did, unless you watched it on Fight TV.
Oh, I got you. It was off air.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's a good observation for sure. We had Dark Order. I know this is Bill's favorite segment. They came out with -1, so they're all there to stay, which is apropos considering Alan Angels was just not cut, but his contract was not renewed.
Right.
So, they had like 6 of the Dark Order there, and they said, they're here to stay. QT Marshall comes out, starts cutting a promo on 10-year-old. -1.
I'm like, dude, come on, man.
And
you know better.
Showed some, they showed some history. So -1 done some. There's been some capers. He's been a little. Irritable for QT, like depancing him and stuff. So it's kind of fun. So we're setting up a long-term storyline.
Oh, Jesus
QT
Christ.
Marshall and -1. So -1 says he's going to wait till he's 18, even though he could beat QT Marshall right now. So
like, dude, wait, you what, 12? Jesus Christ, I ain't got 6 years.
Yeah, so, genius on QT Marshall's part to start a long-term feud with a child who, like, he's definitely going to stick around in the company.
As long as his company is alive, shit, -1 has a job. Please believe that shit.
Yeah. But that's all this was. And then, Hangman comes out, and it was Rochester. So that's why we got a dark.
I'll go for Brody Lee, and I definitely don't have a problem with that. Definitely, they made mention of him during the Wardlow Scorpio Sky match, and like you said, the event was at Rochester, so it would have been impossible not to talk about Brody Lee in some form or fashion.
Totally. So yeah, and then I don't know if this was then, but we should talk about it because it's not my notes here. Just the fact that Jake Hager and Claudio are going to wrestle on Fyter Fest. So
right.
Pretty fun promo. They both cut pretty decent promos. I thought this was a good use of like 160 to 90 seconds of like TV time. I thought like this was like how you set up a match, and Jake Hager was just like, dude, you're a mid-carder. He's like, I'm a main eventer. He's like, you never won a main title in ROH. You never won a main title in WWE. Which like they don't usually.
He said that shit. I was like, uh-oh. I was sitting in the recliner. I'm like, I'm watching this shit. I'm like, yeah, okay, these motherfuckers talking shit. And as soon as he said that WWE line, I like stood up and was like, uh-oh. Oh, now we got some problems. Fuck him up, Claudio. Fuck his ass up.
Dude, my favorite part of the promo, the Boy Girl Raven tweeted this, and it like reminded me of how good it was, which was Jake Hager was like, "You're not hard like me," and Claudio was like, "What do you mean?" It was great, and Claudio just said like he's like he beat Zack Sabre Jr. He's undefeated in AEW, and they won the Blood and Guts, and basically said like we wanted to get to your team. He's like, "Oh wait. It's not your team. It's
right.
the guy you carry the bags for his team."
Uh-oh.
So, yeah.
I was like, shit.
Good back and forth there. So.
Well, they know each other well. I'm sure they're buddies. They were traveling together as.
I forgot about the Real Americans until you said that here. And the Real Americans, before the bar was the bar, I liked the Real Americans just because I thought Hager, in this case, it was Jack Swagger and Cesaro. I thought they were a good team because they were good in ring. You just needed somebody to talk for them. You know what I'm saying? Claudio, in last night's episode, for that, 2 minutes, I thought he held himself very well. Jake Hager did what he was supposed to do, being the bad guy, but Claudio, I thought, did very well.
I have to think that in WWE, everything he said was scripted, and in AEW, Tony Khan and the powers that be are probably like, hey, go do your thing, man.
We know it's scripted in WWE. Even in AEW, where you go do your thing, it doesn't necessarily mean success. You know what I'm saying? For this scenario, it worked.
Yes.
I want to see more of that as we go forward.
Yeah, likewise. We had Penta Skiro and Roosh. So Roosh making not his debut, but like a singles match debut. And I mean, Roosh comes off like a star.
Two-time ROH champion.
Yeah, he is a star. And I mean, this match was pretty good. I don't know that it was the best. I don't know. I think Roosh is a bigger star than this match kind of had him coming off as, and then he won with a low blow and unmasking Penta, so it was a tainted victory because he is a heel, of course. But I don't know. I think Roosh is a big star, and as Bill says, it's an embarrassment of riches. So it is what it is.
He is a two-time ROH heavyweight champion.
Yes, sir.
With the name Roosh.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
RUSH.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
I mean, as your humble correspondent, who pays attention to a lot of wrestling, like high
five time, you better, as my wrestling Lord and Savior, high five time, you better come get this man.
But I'm being honest about it. You know, a lesser podcaster would say, "Oh, I've heard of this guy, and yeah, I like him a lot."
No, keep it real,
That
dog.
being said, I really enjoy this match as I enjoy all Penta matches.
Was this the first time you saw Roosh?
Yes,
What'd you think?
first time I ever heard of him.
Okay.
And unless I'm forgetting something, I have.
No, you didn't watch Ring of Honor.
I've had a busy couple of years. Yeah, but I read all the dirt sheets. I read all the recaps.
Okay.
I read recaps of ROH pay-per-views that I don't
Part
watch.
of the problem with Roosh is he was a pandemic champion.
Oh, I might not have been paying attention to Ring of Honor during that. I will say this. If you want to give me the Lucha Brothers versus Andrade and Roosh in a tag team match, fucking bring it on. Also, calling yourself the White Bull, you know him for that.
This motherfucker here.
Or as I like to call him, the Blanco Toro. Oh, sorry, Toro Blanco.
Toro Blanco. So, in,
See,
I guess
speak
it's,
Espanol.
what, 3 different scenarios you've had LFI take off masks from Phoenix and Penta. We can't do mask versus mask because Penta is doing one in AAA. So I guess ultimately we're getting to a tag team match like Bill was saying. For me personally, as a guy that watched ROH, I would love to see Dragon Lee come over. Give me Dragon Lee and Phoenix, 20 minutes. That's all I ask for this point. It would be great if they had like a cruiserweight, junior heavyweight, division. That would be something that you can have those two in. But for me, a dream match, if you're going to do it and make it make sense, Dragon Lee is part of LFI. Bring him on in. Have him link up with Phoenix and do the damn thing.
Right on. We had backstage. Smart Mark Sterling's trying to get signatures to get Swerve Strickland out of AEW, which is just kind of a silly gimmick. But trying to get Orange Cassidy to sign, and Danhausen comes up and says like, "Oh, we should just like do a match and you make a lot of money." So I don't know. This is just kind of silly, but it leads to stuff.
A silly way to set up. I think that would be a really good match. Orange Cassidy versus Tony Nese.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally. But, so then we had Acclaim to the Gun Club versus Fair Country, Leon Ruffin, is it? And Fuego del Sol.
Dude, it's Leon Ruff from NXT. The
former, isn't he called?
The former NXT North American champion.
I mean, I remember him. I know him, but I thought his name was like.
No, I'm fucking with Bill on this one.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I was responding to my mother. Sorry. What you say?
No. I was about to say, you remember old Leon Ruff?
Oh, I loved him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but but now he's in the team called Roughing It.
That's it. So his name's still Leon Ruff, but his name is Roughing It. Okay.
Yeah, I'll admit, I didn't pay a lot of attention to this segment with the Gun Club and the Acclaimed and Roughing It and
Bear Country.
Oh, sorry, I just wrote down 4-on-4 because. But then Billy Gunn turns on the Acclaimed basically after just liking him like a week earlier. It's like I don't know.
Okay, so let's talk about it. Tubier, you're the major AEW mark behind Bill's two at second.
I don't understand how you always put Zach above me. I feel like me and Zach are even.
When it comes to AEW fandom?
Yes. Zach, do you disagree? Like, I feel like I suck their dick like as hard as Zach does.
Yeah, I don't
that's a visual I don't want to see ever again.
Just me sucking the whole company's dick. I
No,
know
you
it's
too.
an audio medium,
You
but
too.
I am sucking the microphone's dick
You
right
too.
now.
Tastes so good.
To buku my ass.
I love that movie. I love fucking Full Metal Jacket. Okay, acclaimed as baby faces. Yay or nay?
I mean, I'm for it.
Tubier?
Yeah, I'm for it. This was how they got there. Like, it would have been a little more intriguing but they pulled the trigger. It would have been more intriguing to draw it out a little bit, but they pulled the trigger. Acclaimed are baby faces, and yeah, it was what it was, and it was effective.
Okay. Continue.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine.
Right.
I have almost no thoughts about it. It's
We don't have to.
I'm pro Acclaimed being baby faces.
It's fine. It'll be a different change of
I'll
pace.
still fast forward.
Shit.
How about this? Being from the Midwest, are you guys pro thunderstorm or nah?
Nah.
I mean, every time there's a thunderstorm, I sit out on my porch and watch the thunderstorm like a typical Midwestern Hoosier.
Yeah, look at you.
Yeah, I mean, I can't.
Look at you.
Listen,
Come on back to South City, man. Shit.
I did in South City too. People.
Okay.
People used to.
I was
People
going to
used to
say
yell
sit
at
in
me.
my apartment and look at this thunderstorm. You open up a window, you don't pick your head out.
No, you just go outside. You just watch the
No.
thunderstorm.
Fuck all that. You know where I live. You ain't going outside to watch a thunderstorm. You get your ass rolled.
I walk
So
in
really,
there
I mean-
carrying thousands of dollars worth of equipment.
You better hurry up.
So,
Yeah, stand out there for 5, 10, 15 minutes and see what happens.
I'll be fine.
Go ahead,
There's
Tubi.
one.
They recognize me as one of them.
thunderstorm where you sit on your porch and the air is getting thick, and then there's one thunderstorm where the ring is getting thick, and that's the thunderstorm I'm talking about. Are you guys pro thunderstorm, or which is Thunder Rosa and Tony Storm as a tag team?
Hey, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense.
Should I make this joke? No, I shouldn't make this joke. When Tony Storm's on the screen, I get thick, okay?
That's what I was waiting for.
I was about to say, come on, man. I was about to say hip attack. I'll be no. I will take the hip attack from Tony Storm. Go ahead, girl.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna move.
I just want like her on a loop going, beautiful poached egg. Beautiful poached egg. Beautiful poached egg.
That's okay. That's the sad part about this whole match. What did it really mean? Really nothing. Marina Shafir looked okay. Nyla Rose been there, done that. Tony
Dude,
Storm
I didn't
just
watch this. You guys watched it?
Yeah, I watched it.
No, I didn't watch it. Get
This
me to the next part, man.
This
How much time do I have?
Yeah, I think it's just there to sell T-shirts. I don't like it either. So
If there was a women's tag team titles, yeah, it would make sense. Now,
Beautiful poached egg.
go ahead, Two Beer.
That's why I say to
great.
get into an Australian accent.
Daniel Garcia challenging Wheeler Yuta for Pure Championship. So we got we got the Ring of Honor TV title. We got Jay Lethal versus Samoa Joe. Looks like the main event. We got Wheeler Yuta versus Daniel Garcia, and we also have the FTR versus Briscoe.
No. They threw it out there. We ain't got the response yet. Don't get me that motherfucker excited.
Jason.
No, the
They
response
threw it
was
out
on
there.
Twitter. They accepted it.
Okay, never mind. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I just got a little mini right here. Wait.
Fucking Jason was waiting for a telegram about it. It's out there, dude.
He's waiting for Paul
Telegraph.
to run down your road in St. Charles. The Briscoes are coming. The Briscoes are coming.
All of a sudden, I turn around. The Briscoes are
Right.
fucking walking down the street with my lawnmower.
Oh, shit. They just came from the farm, boss. I didn't. No, I honestly didn't see that the Briscoes accepted. So yes,
I didn't either.
okay. So now, this is what I want to say about just the Briscoes, ROH in general. Tony Khan needs to get that shit going in some form or fashion.
I feel like Death Before Dishonor, he is getting it going.
No. I'm just saying on a weekly basis. Even NWA is on YouTube on a weekly basis.
All right.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I think you can start with that until you get your TV deal.
Fair.
So that way you can start moving guys that feel like they're ROH guys, or even guys or girls that aren't getting the time that you really want to invest in.
Yep.
Now you got the opportunity to do it. Mercedes Martinez and flipped heel. I'm like, what the fuck is this? How'd that happen? Her and Serena Deeb were running rampant on Rampage. I'm like, okay. It would be
And
nice to.
two borderline 3 AEW products that I don't watch. Like, I don't watch Dark. I don't watch Dark Elevation. I rarely watch Rampage.
Okay, I'm just saying, if you have a Jonathan Gresham's your champion, okay, you got FTR as your tag champions, I think between one of the two, that's a draw in now. Samoa Joe's your TV champion. Mercedes Martinez is your women's champion. I think that's a start. It's 1 hour. That's all I'm saying. There should be a way to get ROH 1 hour every week on YouTube in some form or fashion. That's all I'm saying. Now, from that point, figure it out.
I was just thinking, I really want to watch this show, and I was like wondering, I'm gonna have to look. Like, I don't know if it'll be available on Honor Club. Like, if it is, like,
Right.
I mean, I'll probably subscribe because
I think Fight TV used to do a lot of Ring of Honor replays. That would probably be the first place.
They'll do a replay, but they won't do it for a week or so.
I think they would do it live and then do a replay on it.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
I want to see the show. I don't want to pay like $30.
Yeah, I'm saying without paying for it.
You know what to do without paying for it.
I know what to do without paying for it. I'm not going to say it on this podcast.
Of course not.
I want my torrent brothers to be able to keep doing it.
That's
All
right.
What's next?
El Torrent Blanco.
Ooh, I like that.
So but yeah, I mean, I'll throw $10 at it, but like, I just want money to, throwing all these pay-per-views. I got shit to do.
True story.
Kids to raise.
Yeah. Then we had the interim world championship match, Moxley versus Brody King. I mean, really, Brody King won this battle royal on Friday. He's wrestling Moxley on Wednesday. It just totally seems like they're just feeding a dude to Moxley, even though Brody King's like a legit monster and a legit contender. I think the proximity of those things happening just made it seem like there's no way in hell Brody King's winning.
I have thoughts about this because I watched the Royal Rampage, which was odd, and I don't know if you guys watched it.
I watched it.
I didn't.
It was odd to watch too. It was like, wait a minute, what is going on? There were two rings. It was like war game style rings,
right,
but there was a blue ring and a red ring.
Right.
And the champion, or the people who won the blue ring and the red ring, had to fight each other in both rings at the end, I think.
You could use both rings at the end, but
anyway, it was interesting to me. I watched it, and it became very clear that I didn't understand the rules while I was watching. I was like, oh man, this is really fucked up. But Brody King winning was a legit surprise. Same thing that I was talking about with Liv Morgan. I know Liv Morgan and Brody King get compared all the time, but it was much the same thing. I was like, oh,
hot.
I was like, this is cool.
In some form or fashion,
I was like, I do want to see Brody King fight Jon Moxley. I mean, if you're feeding him to Jon Moxley, it's not like it was put off this huge deal. AEW does Fyter Fest, and they do Fight for the Fallen and shit like that. They do shit like that all the time. So if they're going to have a Royal Rampage just to see who's going to be fed to Jon Moxley on next week's Dynamite, I'm into that because I want to see the match between whoever wins and Jon Moxley. And when Brody King won, I was legit surprised. I was like, holy shit. I was like, that's a really weird pick. Now I want to see the match that these guys have. And they had a totally different match that Jon Moxley has had in AEW since he's been there, honestly.
Felt like Brody King was...
It's pretty rare that Jon Moxley fights somebody that much bigger than him.
And fight underneath more than not.
Yes. And be dominated for that long. Because Brody King dominated Moxley for a long time. And then Moxley won with a submission.
Right.
With a pass out, which you really never see. I don't know if we've ever seen it in AEW.
But it's kind of like the Stone Cold, fall on the sword kind of deal. I don't want to see Brody King tap out. I want to see Brody King pass out. Okay. From that point, I did listen to a podcast where Tony Khan was talking about old school battle royals where you had it being in two rings and then, the two winners, basically winners, quote unquote, And you didn't even have the winners. You know, guys can go from one ring to the other, so you weren't confined to one ring. I guess it's just one of those times where I just wish that things were more clear. You know, here's the rules coming up front, and then go from there. Neither here nor there. I like Brody King as the contender to Jon Moxley, as a guy that once again watched ROH. Brody King was getting ready to wrestle Jonathan Gresham before they shut down the doors. So it's not like Brody King is just out of right field. It's just one of those times where, for me, as watching ROH, that made sense.
Did they pull him off the match because he's got terrible tattoos?
Look, as a guy that doesn't have tattoos, I can't speak on it. I'll just say
really,
this.
because I would say that you're tattooed all over.
Right. Right.
Brody King's got good tattoos. Plus, he was on I Think You Should Leave, which
That might be
bonus points with me.
Was he?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, he's in season 2 of I Think You Should Leave.
Man, I think that's the most racist thing I've ever said on this show.
No. I was about to say,
No, I've said shit more
It's
racist.
the most racist thing you've said on this show.
I'll say this. For me personally, I didn't have a problem with Brody King being the guy. But Jon Moxley was fed other guys when he was legitimate champion. Okay, take the interim portion off of it. No disrespect to Brody Lee, but Brody Lee was one of those big guys that was kind of fed to Jon Moxley. Okay, so it's not necessarily one of those things for me that it's a huge deal or it's a surprise or anything like that. Lance Archer was Hangman Page. I take that back.
He might have wrestled Moxley too, though.
Texas Death Match. Like Texas Death Match.
5 days just seems like a quick turnaround.
Archer wrestled Page and Jon Moxley. Archer wrestled Moxley in Texas Death Matches and Page in the Texas Death Match. So there you go.
And he'll probably do it again for Moxley. So,
Jesus. No, I'll say,
look,
Lance Archer's big ass needs to be over here in Japan here in a little bit because the 16th is running around. Yeah.
But anyway, overall, pretty decent Dynamite. I would say pretty average Dynamite. And also, I don't know if Phil watched it, if you have not seen Big Daddy Magic's promo, it's actually worth checking out.
Yes, both promos from 2.0. I caught them on guys. Guys tagged me on Twitter, and I watched both. I thought they were really good. I mean, it's not going to change, overall what I think about them. They're not going to be main event guys, but I love the passion and the human element. And this is coming from a guy that doesn't have kids. Okay. When he was talking about, Matt Bernard, I guess the Daddy Magic. Okay. When he was talking about his babies taking his first steps. Okay. For me that doesn't have kids, I was like, man, that's fucked up. Okay. That's fucked up. That's just me. I appreciate 2.0 a little more. Not rooting for him, but I appreciate them more. And that just made it more of a human element that you just don't see in wrestling enough.
Two more things I have to say about the main event.
Go.
Besides, so the last thing I said was that I liked that Moxley choked him out or made him pass out.
Yeah.
William Regal was on commentary, and they started talking about having a bruised coccyx. And Steven Regal, I swear to God, he just says this for Taz and Excalibur because they stopped talking for 30 seconds. And he said, most males bruise their coccyx, but usually just while they're children. And everybody stopped talking, and I knew that everybody just turned off their mic and started laughing. He was saying it for the boys.
Yes,
obviously,
for sure.
The other thing I was gonna say, was it's not usual that I do this. I might have just said something that might have offended some people, and I want everybody to know where my heart is. My heart is with the oppressed people in the world. My heart is with the people that are looked down in the world, and my heart is with, Swerve Strickland, Keith Lee, Jade Cargill, Scorpio Sky, Swerve Strickland, Jade Cargill, Lee Moriarty, where you at?
Yeah, right.
Private Party, Swerve Strickland.
Dante Martin, motherfucker.
Dante Martin. Dante, is he? Okay.
Yes,
Dante Martin,
yes,
sorry. Dante Martin.
We claim him.
Yeah, okay. All
He's
right.
on our draft class,
Ricky
goddammit.
Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs.
Thank you.
Powerhouse Hobbs, Jade Cargill, and Powerhouse Hobbs.
Yeah.
X-Pac during that one segment.
I just want everybody to know that. I'm not racist. I mean, I've been thinking about Powerhouse Hobbs and Jade Cargill and and Swerve Strickland.
This motherfucker. All
Did
right.
you guys buy that? Did you guys really think I was apologizing?
Oh, no. You saw me over here kind of looking away like, I'm just going to let this motherfucker roll. I don't know where we going, but hey, yes, here's
that was
my
a real
money.
stone setup.
I'm not sure where we're going, but just take my money, please.
Okay. So that's going to do it for Other Recount, right? Anything else about AEW?
Nah.
Going to do it for Other Recount.
1, 2.
This motherfucker.
So, Two Beer Zach Pullman brought this to our attention today. It is 26 years since Hulk Hogan had the greatest heel turn in the history of pro wrestling, is at least televised pro wrestling. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I mean, maybe somebody did something. Maybe Bruno Sammartino.
Hello.
I don't know. What?
Okay, go set it up.
Who's
and then
better
let's talk
than
about
that?
HBK should at least be in the argument.
No,
before.
Hulk Hogan. NWO changed the entire industry. What are you talking about?
Look.
It just takes Jason. I can't even get through the intro before Jason starts arguing.
No, I said go through it. Did I not?
Why'd you say anything?
Two beer.
All right, shut up. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let's start over.
Please.
Okay, let me rewind this.
Okay.
We're gonna tape over this.
Okay.
Okay, you guys ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Swerve Strickland, Jade Cargill, Powerhouse Hobbs. All right, so Zach brought this up. Zach, what is your what are your thoughts about? Because I know that you were watching it. I know you were 11, and I know you were a mark.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, wrestling at this point was pretty much my entire life. I mean, I wouldn't even touch a woman for 8 more years. So I mean, that's really how I had going on. It was fantastic. I didn't know how monumental it would be, but I mean, it was such a huge deal because Hulk Hogan was always a babyface. He was the babyface of babyfaces. It was 1996. This dude was he was say your prayers, eat your vitamins, brother. The whole time I was a kid, he was the champion. He was the babyface champion, always. And there was no doubt in my mind that he was coming down that ramp to clear out Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, who were literally outsiders from the WWF invading the WCW.
You've talked about this before, though. Your parents, because you're an only child, your parents, unlike me, my parents never bought me shit, except for Honey Nut Cheerios was a real treat.
You better say, you better appreciate that shit.
So your parents used to buy you pay-per-views. So you were watching Bash at the Beach while it happened.
Yeah, live, which is crazy because it was probably it was probably $29.95, $39.95, which I don't know, in today's currency is $750,000. It's a lot.
You just paid Bill spit out his beer. Yes. Thank you, Two Beer. I'm not the only one that goes down tonight.
Yeah, you got me. I was waiting for you to say $750, and when you added the 1,000 on there, I was like, oh, fuck!
But yeah, it was a lot. So I mean, I was blessed in that regard. It was great. So I got to watch a lot of that really cool shit. It was as it was happening. But we didn't have internet and stuff. We had satellite pay-per-view. So I think we might have had dial-up internet, but it sucked so bad I didn't discover Dave Meltzer till before we started this podcast. So I was subscribed to all the kayfabe stuff, stuff you could buy at Walmart, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, all that kind of stuff.
At age 11.
Yeah, I had for Christopher Pro Wrestling Illustrated. I wish I could remember some of the other ones, the names of them, but that was like the big one. But there was a few that they would sell at Walmart, and I also subscribed to Electronic Gaming Monthly and Game Pro. Magazine subscriptions were like my thing, but back then. But yeah, like this was monumental. Like I legit believed all of that. I thought it was 100% real. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like it, and there will never be anything else like it. You can't do another heel turn like that because the business is different.
That's true.
And like Bill said, it was a paradigm shift in like just wrestling as like an entertainment business. That nWo thing was insane.
The Hulk Hogan heel turn was, if you knew anything about wrestling, you just couldn't look away from it. Like, everybody had to pay attention to it. And these days we have like Forbidden Door, and there are people that are like, for Forbidden Door, I don't really care about AEW, and I certainly don't care about these Japanese fuckers. I'm not watching it. But in 1996, if you gave a fuck about any wrestling at all, you had to be into Hulk Hogan's heel turn. Jason, what are your thoughts on it?
First things first, I'll go with that. We'll just start with that. As a non-Hulk Hogan fan throughout the years, the last thing I thought I would ever see was a Hulk Hogan heel turn. Okay, so
how old were you? Like 30?
Was you said 96, 73? So I was 23 at the time. Is my math right?
Shit, that's way closer.
Okay, so that's a motherfucker. God damn!
I saw that coming in slow motion.
Yeah, like,
I was like, oh yeah, he was almost 30.
No, not so much. 23. I was not even.
You had more in common with a 30-year-old than you did with an 11-year-old Zach, though.
Look,
you might have got arrested if you even tried to talk to him.
Hey guys, I'm just over here watching the pay-per-view with Zach.
Okay, look, don't back me up, please. Honestly, I was out of WWE at this point. I was wrestling at this point. It didn't connect with me. But when I heard this, I'm like, what the fuck? Hulk Hogan turned it. No. This is the thing. And then it made me at least watch WCW the following week to make sure I'm not the crazy guy in the room. So then I watched.
I was 15. Oh, and then you watched. Sorry.
No, it's not even that. It's just, I'll say this. Is it the greatest heel turn of all time? If you talk about the big picture, I'll agree with you. I'll take a step back. Yes. Big picture. No, big picture is probably the biggest heel turn of all time, because a guy, we're 2 beers 11 and he's not worried about women. I'm 23. I'm over here working all kinds of crazy shit and going out after the fact. Yeah, I'm worried about women at this point, but then I'm hearing about this Hulk Hogan heel turn. I'm like, what the fuck? Hulk Hogan flipped heel. Let me get this straight. The guy that I rooted against for years is now a bad guy? Huh. I got to check this shit out.
I was 15. I didn't care about wrestling at all. But I remember somebody being like, Hulk Hogan's a bad guy now. And I was like, because I used to watch wrestling with my grandpa, and I was like, well, that's stupid. Like, Hulk Hogan can't be a bad guy. They're like, oh, he's a bad guy. And I was probably pretty intrigued. I didn't come back to the sport again until about 4 years later, when I fell completely in love with it. But as I don't know as much about wrestling as a lot of the people that listen to this podcast. I don't know as much about wrestling as a lot of people who are on Facebook or follow us on Twitter. I really don't. Like, there is shit that you guys talk about, new and old, that I am completely out on.
All the time.
But I do remember Hulk Hogan turning bad and being like, wait a minute, what the fuck? That doesn't make any sense, and it not making any sense in my head. So
I thought you were 100% going to say, but I still believe in Brodus Clay.
Well, now I'm just rooting for Brodus Clay to marry Hulk Hogan's daughter.
Eugenics works, guys. Not just for dogs.
I'm dead. You said Gen X works.
but if you're a student of the sport, if you're a student of the art, then you know that Hulk Hogan turning. I mean, Kevin Nash and this might be because of WCW. It might be because WWE likes to tell us about this because they ended up winning. But Kevin Nash and Scott Hall going to WCW was a game changer. It completely it was the first time that wrestling figured out TV, where it's like you can use television as a method, like episodically, because before that it wasn't really episodic. You know, some guy would come in as a champ and he'd fight somebody else. You know, it wasn't
Very
that,
territorial.
TV was the build for your house show back, before that, and then like WCW Monday Nitro was a paradigm shift in and of itself. Besides just this heel turn, like that was a completely revolutionary television show,
and never would have been possible without that heel turn.
There was times where we
Never would have been successful, I should say.
On Monday nights, we would work on Monday lunches, and I would go to my boy's house, and then we would watch wrestling. And it would be back and forth, especially when the NWO, Hulk Hogan, Nash, and Hall became a thing. So now we're like, okay, what do we watch? So now it's back and forth, back and forth.
I remember
that's where I think it's the most impactful thing.
I remember not seeing the finger poke of doom, but being mad about it, even though I wasn't a fan. I was like, that's garbage.
Right.
Now I got to watch this shit.
How the fuck this shit happened? When Goldberg Austin, when he got the taser on his ass, I was like, how the fuck you going to win 100+ matches, and now you're going to bring the taser as the thing? I need to watch that. Ultimately,
the promotion was already dead by that point. Like, they had already, imploded.
Yeah.
But, dude, I literally watched the first Monday Nitro just like a couple weeks ago. Just put it on as background, and I put it on as background, and then I just ended up sitting and watching it.
Who was the most famous
television.
wrestler that fought on the first Monday Night Nitro?
The very first match. Here's the reason I sat down. The very first match is Brian Pillman versus Jushin Thunder Liger in the Mall of America.
Holy shit, really?
Yeah.
You said
they're literally in the Mall of America. It's 1994 or 95. And they're in the middle of the mall, so you see all the shops, and there's just people standing around watching Brian Pillman versus Jushin Thunder Liger. It was insane.
That is insane.
Okay,
It's like now if those guys fought, you could sell out Chicago Arena.
Here's my question, and if you want to move on, we can move on. So obviously, the NWO is revolutionary, one of the best factions of all time. Are they the best faction of all time?
No.
Nope.
No.
Who's the best faction of all time? Go Bill first, and then Two Beer next.
Right to censor.
I knew it was coming. Son of a bitch.
No, you didn't know it was coming. Zach did.
I was about to say, give me a little credit.
I'd say the best faction of all time is it's probably NWO, because they were all, when you look at it, none of them was much older than 40. They really weren't that old. I would say the Shield is pretty close to being the best faction of all time, because you have two guys at the top of their promotions, and Seth Rollins, who you could put the belt on at either promotion anytime, and it would be completely taken seriously. And he is the best in-ring wrestler of all three of them, and he is arguably the least famous. So I think NWO is number one. I think the Shield's number two.
Two Beer, who you got?
So, NWO is in the running, but the main reason that I say no is because it didn't take long for it to be completely bastardized, where just everybody was in the NWO. It was the cool kids thing.
Right.
For me, it's the Horsemen. Even though they did have multiple iterations, it's just the Four Horsemen. That even Steve Mongo McMichael era
Whoa.
God, you
Whoa.
just said that to piss Jason off.
Come on, man.
Jason, come back to me. Come back to me. Swerve Strickland,
For
Jade
every
Cargill,
Mongo.
Powerhouse Hobbs. Come back to me.
Like, oh man, that mantra is like Jason's like, run it up that hill. For every Steve Mongo McMichael, you got a Chris Benoit and Arn Anderson. So, and you always had Ric Flair. So, but I mean, you saying the Shield, you're legit. You're not wrong. That's actually pretty great, and they had a full, really good run, and big money. You want to talk big money reunion? I think the Shield is like number one, the biggest big money reunion that you could possibly make. Say 10, 15 years. Even now. But,
I wasn't thinking about it until I was talking about it, but like when I started talking about it, I was like, man, I don't know. You got Moxley and Reigns. Both are the dudes.
Yeah, they're the alpha dogs.
And Seth Rollins is having the best
Arguably.
matches of every pay-per-view that he's on with Cody Rhodes 3 in a
his
row.
best
and he
character
dropped
of
all
all them
three. Some people might not call them faction, like you have to have 4. I know that I've heard that before. To be a stable, you have to have 4, shit like that. But they weren't a tag team. So
that's only because of the Horsemen.
Right. Yeah, I understand. Stable Horsemen. Yeah.
Right. God forbid.
Jason, who are yours?
Well, I was going to say, to me, as a Ric Flair guy, it always starts with the Horsemen. Where you had Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson as the tag team guys. You can rotate Barry Windham, Lex Luger as the U.S. champion. It always was about Ric Flair holding the title. It's the same way where the Bloodline, excuse me, I was going to throw them out there just because they're the best modern day, one of them, if not the best, modern day.
They're a great faction. Paul Heyman, the Usos, and Roman Reigns is a great faction.
Where you had
No
for
doubt.
the Horsemen, when you had J.J. Dillon playing the role of Paul Heyman, Flair is basically
So good.
Roman Reigns. And then from that point, to me, where the Horsemen really just kind of stand out a little more, even when the U.S. title was a thing in the NWA, WCW, they were invested in that.
All right.
That made it a big deal.
there-
For me, it's the Horsemen one.
There's a team that hasn't been brought up yet that is very current and has had a lot of members, and it is the Bullet Club. Do you guys put the Bullet Club in the top 5? Who are you thinking, Zach? Dark Order?
I said DX.
Oh, yes.
Bullet
DX,
Club.
yeah, DX too. Yes, DX is also very big and
Yes.
bigger than Bullet Club.
Are
Yeah,
they?
and
Oh,
I
yeah.
think part
Yes.
of it is
Yes.
Bullet Club has had they're kind of, and it's funny because like Bullet Club is literally the NWO, but they just
Rotate.
there's so many, and it rotates, and there's just so many, and there's it's kind of less exclusive. I feel like where the Shield is kind of on one end of the spectrum where it's like 3 dudes and it's only ever been 3 dudes and it's just those 3 dudes. It'll never be anybody else. Bullet Club like literally had Jeff Jarrett in it.
Well,
You know what I mean? Like,
out of every single one we've said, though, the Shield is the only faction that has never kicked anybody out and never let anybody else in. That's the only faction we've talked about that has been only those 3 guys and only those 3 guys. It's not like Bray Wyatt came in to be a member of the Shield for 2 Raws or something. It's just only
Kurt
been
Angle?
that was that COVID related? Oh no, that was before.
I think
COVID.
that was injury
It was
related.
injury related. Okay, that's a fluke though.
so it's kind of like the podcast.
I mean,
we
that's
had
fair.
Murray for a little while, like Joey. So every now
Wha-
and then, we're the 3. We're like the Shield
No,
of
we're
the podcast world.
we're right to censor. I'm Stevie Richards. You're Bull Buchanan. Jason's the good father.
Yes,
The
yeah,
good
I'm the good father. I'm gonna throw this out one. I'm gonna throw out this one.
Shit, I'm missing one. Stevie Richards.
Ivory.
Bull Buchanan. Yeah, but I had.
No,
I thought
no,
I had.
nobody's gonna be Ivory.
Oh yeah, Jinder Mahal's Ivory, motherfucker. But I'm trying to find a place for Murray. I thought there was 5. Wasn't there 5? There was 5.
I wasn't watching.
No, Val Venus.
Yes,
came in
Val
late.
Venus. Yes, sorry, Val Venus is Murray. Okay, so it worked out. Joey is Ivory.
I wonder what he thinks about that.
Joey, I fought for you, man. I fought for you. That's all I can say.
Trust me, Joey enjoys. If Joey is Ivory, Joey enjoys being Ivory's sexual partner. That'll do it for our 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, so there's not a whole lot of odds and ends, so let's not belabor this point. So they took.
I'll make it quick.
Yes, Jason, yes.
New Japan, starting on September 5th and 6th, they're going to allow chanting and the vocal crowds to come back. This is something we've talked about on multiple occasions, so I just wanted to throw that shit out there.
If I would have been here for Forbidden Door, I would have talked about Yoshihashi being the motherfucker to walk out and to have that place go
absolutely ape shit.
Berserk for
He's like,
Yoshihashi. And he looked around like he thought somebody was behind him.
Yeah. He's like, I'm never going back.
Right. He was like, is Okada behind me? Is that fucking Andre the Giant? Like, he was like, what the fuck?
Okay, that's the thing
That's how great that crowd was.
and that's why I put Okada's entrance over Claudio's.
Fair enough.
Get it. Claudio they milked that shit, but when Okada came out, he kind of stopped, he looked around, and it was just like the crowd was chanting his name, and he just milked it for that 30 seconds, and he looked over. He actually smacked somebody's hand, which you don't do in Japan at all. He smacked somebody's hand. That shit was nuts.
I know that you two guys and myself, we sent back a few texts on Thursday when I had to cancel because we got free tickets, and my wife's like, so you go to Fish 5 times a year and just do a bunch of drugs, and then you come home and you can't take a Thursday night off. She forgot about the podcast. She's like, so you have to wake up early tomorrow and you can't go to Aver Brothers with me. I was like, okay, well, let's go to Aver Brothers, man. Let's go to Aver Brothers.
I'm working 2:30. It was like, oh, you're out? What the fuck?
I mean, I like the Aver Brothers.
Was that a good show? They're really good.
Yeah, they were fucking great. You want to know what's weird? The weirdest thing about that show? We were at St. Louis Music Park, holds like,
where was it?
4,000, 5,000 people. It's that little place right next to Riverport now. And we were kind of standing up, and like the music started, and I stand up. You know, I'm used to being at Fish shows. I'm fixing to dance. I'm used to being at Clutch shows. I'm fixing to, come on, let's fucking get
Sit your
down.
little narrow ass down.
Aaron pulls out her pen, like we start smoking. I'm expecting when they start playing music that everybody's going to be smoking, like it's a Fish show or something. We're the only motherfuckers smoking in the entire place. And there were people turning around and look at us. And I was like, these fucking squares from West County, get the fuck out of here. What a fucking nerdy crowd.
God.
We were the only people smoking weed in the entire place. Aaron and I. The only people.
Dude, I'm pretty sure my kids got a contact high before the July. And
Yes,
we were just on the street.
Of course. Anyway, so I didn't get to talk about Forbidden Door, and you guys did a great job of covering it. But I did, like, one of my big points was, God damn, that crowd was so fucking great, man. That crowd,
Yeah.
and that is,
Well,
I saw somebody on Twitter say that's proof that you can't burn out a crowd as long as you just put on banger after banger after banger.
That was the.
And that crowd was ready to go the entire time, and that crowd was through it until the very end, man.
I asked
Great crowd.
what time it was twice, just to gauge where we were at, and it was. By the time we got to the women's match, it was like, okay, it was like 8:30-ish. I was like, okay, we're about halfway home. And it still was no let up. The back end of that pay-per-view was just off the chain. And like I said, God knows everybody, if you listen to this pod, I love me some Naito. Okada is now my number 2 guy. Just seeing him come out and watching him perform, it was.
I mean,
if I never have kids, that's good enough. I've seen them.
Holy shit,
dude.
Well, I was thinking about throwing my kid into the river because somebody called me with a free ticket.
No.
I thought about it.
No. NMA's not that bad.
Like kind of on topic, like the fact that fans were cheering and they were cheering so well. You saw that in the performance of the New Japan guys.
Oh,
They
for
were
sure.
loving
For
being
sure.
in front of a cheering crowd. So
I was with you guys when I listened to your pod last week where
Our pod.
Zach said his favorite match was the opener with Jericho and Suzuki, and that match was unreal, for sure. I love the tag match a lot. I like the psychology of the tag match. Ospreay, Orange Cassidy stole the show for me. My second favorite match, though, was probably Moxley, Tanahashi. Like, I loved it. I loved how the crowd got really
Turned
behind.
on John Moxley.
I loved it, man. I knew who won, but I was still very into it.
I'm like, what the fuck kind of witchcraft is this?
And I've watched
that's the charisma of
Tanahashi, yeah, for sure.
Why
For sure.
he is the ace.
Yeah, there's this New Japan podcast I listen to sometimes, and the guy always says, he's like, I'm sorry, he's some dude from Philly. I forget what that. It's called Best of the Super, or I don't know.
Super J-Cast?
Super J-Cast. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys ever listened to them, but that Damon dude is just some old dude he's like 55, and he lives in Philadelphia, and he's an
him already.
He's an old ECW guy, and he always says, and he's a smart guy, and he always says, Tanahashi's the best wrestler of my lifetime. He's the best wrestler of my lifetime, and he's like real honed in on like old Memphis shit and like Flair, like he's encyclopedic. And he's like, Tanahashi's the best wrestler in my lifetime.
If it wasn't for Two Beer, and I'll say this, and we can wrap this up, if you don't have any more odds and ends, obviously.
No.
If it wasn't for Two Beer, I wouldn't have watched New Japan. When we first started this podcast, it was funny because we just were talking about women's and men's Money in the Bank. I was at the very first Money in the Bank. We were doing the podcast when Carmella won. We were doing that Shock City Studios. That was when James Ellsworth got involved. Okay, blah, blah, blah.
The glory days.
Yeah, the glory days. So now we fast forward to this point where now, we've gone through, not gone through, but kind of still in the pandemic. And now we're at a point where New Japan is getting ready to come back to where we remember them when I first got involved in New Japan.
What you're trying to say is we're survivors.
Survivors, one. And number two, I think I want to see what New Japan is post, quote unquote, pandemic. It wasn't like it was too different to begin with, but there was times where you want to hear the crowd chant Okada. You want to hear Naito, shit like that, back forth. Even when I watched it this week, it was still clapping. It's still not the same thing.
All right, so we were going to talk about Sasha and Naomi, but we're going to skip it because we got into some good stuff. So, Aaron, I told you. Hold on. Send the voicemail.
Uh-oh.
This is banned from ringside.
Okay, so we got our go home segments. Do you have one, Jason?
Of course, I always have one.
Go ahead. Do your go home segment.
Plenty of New Japan to watch. New Japan and Stardom are getting ready to have their thing. They're going to do something on my birthday, the 20th. That's going to be nice. Outside of that, yeah, I'm going to go with that. That's my go home. New Japan and Stardom on my birthday, the 20th.
All right, Zach, you got a go home thought?
Yeah, my go-home thought is when you go to the grocery store, just buy a little extra and just put it to the side because we're probably going to run out of food soon, and you and all your loved ones are going to die a long, lingering death unless you make it to one of those climate refugee camps. I have a bleak go home.
That's
just end it now. You should
that's-
probably just open a vein right now.
No, that's really good, Zach. So my go home is, this is our podcast number 264, and the reason that we're able to do these podcasts for you guys is because you guys support us so much, and because I have so much fun with Zach Pullman and Jason Bell, Swerve Strickland, Jade Cargill, Powerhouse Hobbs, Swerve Strickland, Lee Moriarty, Private Party,
Dante Martin,
Starks, Dante Martin, Swerve Strickland, Jade Cargill.
This is Band from Ringside.
All right, we got some birthdays this week. We got Marcel Bartel, who's now known as Ludwig Kaiser, is 32. Kevin Nash, the aforementioned, 63 years old. That means that Kevin Nash turned, 63 minus 26.
He turned 37 on his birthday.
He turned 37 on the NWO day. That's pretty good. Mark Marrow is 62. Shelton Benjamin, 47. Gilbert. You know, I like Gilbert. He is 63. Tyson Kidd is 42. Jeff Cobb. Get yourself some in that G1, son.
Yes,
go, Jeff Cobb. He is 40. Hurricane Helms, who I met at StarCast.
Yes.
48.
Cool dude.
Cool dude, yeah. Sami Zayn is 38. Brock Lesnar is 45. And X-Pac got that heat, and that motherfucker is 50. I don't know which one of these is the... Hold on. Hey, everybody. We know there's tons of podcasts to listen to, so we appreciate you guys listening to our podcast.
He just pushed the button. He got lucky.
For Vice.
Check.
For my daughter, Edna Mae.
Double check.
For my wife, Erin.
Check.
For
You won't be mad,
Murray the
motherfucker.
Murray Man Murray.
Check.
For Patriot Pat.
Check.
For Two Beers, Zach Pullman.
Check.
Who did I forget? Did I say Vice? Did I say Jinder Mahal? I said
No, you didn't. Check for Jinder Mahal.
Check for Jinder Mahal. Support your local weed dealers.
Check.
Support your local restaurants.
Check.
Tip your bartenders.
Double check.
Tip your servers.
Double check.
Never, ever forget to just boo the heels.
Boo, bitch. Gotta go, Pete.